All right, thanks, Chris. Good to see everybody. Exciting week for us. Always been a team that's embraced getting a chance to go on the road. This is the longest it's ever taken for us to get a chance to do that. But we're excited to go play. This is a very good Kansas State football team. We know their history as a program, certainly their history as of late, how well they've traditionally played at home. Always tough to go up to Manhattan and come out of there with a victory. There's been many hard-fought battles up there over the years in my career, and sure this one will be a hard-fought battle as well. So excited about how our team's progressing. We're now kind of get into that middle stretch of the season, and we think we've got a lot of improvements that we've really attacked throughout the week, and excited to see our guys go put that on display this Saturday. So obviously a terrific football team in Kansas State. Coach Kleiman's done an outstanding job taking over obviously for the legend Coach Snyder, and just continue to do a fantastic job with that football team. So a great challenge as always, and we'll have to go up there and be at our very best.
We'll start on this side with Ryan Abram.
Yeah, Lincoln, when you go back and look at Saturday's game, what was your evaluation of the offensive line play, especially in the second half when Wanye came in there at tackle, and how the line looked then?
Other than we had two penalties down in the red zone. Other than that, we played a lot better on the offensive line in the second half. They gave us some opportunities in the run game, did a better job protecting Spencer. So I think kind of like the whole offense, they were much better in the second half. We got to play a little bit cleaner, especially when we get down in the red zone, because you only have 4 drives, and so you've got to take advantage of those opportunities, and not being able to get touchdowns on the first 2 field goals that we kicked. Obviously, we really didn't try to get one on the last drive, but that was, if there was any negative in the second half, that was it, because really we played pretty decent football in the second half. We've just got to finish and make the most of every opportunity. So, again, kind of like the whole offense. I mean, I've been asked a bunch, and I get it. It's not one group. It's not one thing. We need to coach better. Every position group needs to be a little bit better. There's not one group, again, that I can point at when we're not doing well and say, man, they have just been dog awful and everybody else has been fantastic and that group's holding us back. It's not the case. It's little things. We've kind of taken our turn. I thought we played very well up front against Nebraska. We weren't quite as clean the other night. Some of it's things schematically we can do better. Some of it's we're playing against the number 4 defense in the country that's pretty damn good on the front. So we were just slightly off there in the first half, but much improved in the second half, and I feel very confident that we'll build on that.
Encouraging that it is, like you said, those small things rather than
both. Both. I mean, they're things that we expect to do well. Again, whether it's myself, a coach, a scheme, a player in a game, whatever it is. I mean, we have high expectations, so it's frustrating on one hand, but it's also when you come back and watch the tape, it's also exciting because of what we can be, and we feel like it's controllable. I mean, we feel like these are things that we absolutely can and will do better, and we're all pushing like crazy to get there.
Eric Bailey.
Lincoln, just wanted to ask you about first down production. What are your thoughts on how the offense is doing, and are there times you're behind the change when it kind of limits what you can do second down, third down? Are you seeing any of that? Yeah,
I mean, the last 2 games, honestly, have been very similar. Several 3rd and longs in the first half, several, 2nd and shorts, 3rd and shorts in the second half, and it's not I don't think it's a coincidence that we've certainly played better when that's happened. So, I mean, I think it all goes back to consistency, and kind of to the previous question. The more consistent you are, the more, and we're not talking about the spectacular. Those will come. We've been agonizingly close to several big plays. Those will come the more that you make routine plays and just do these simple things well. That's where the big ones come. And if it's not a big one, like to your point, it puts you in position where you have the advantage on the next downs, and certainly does open up what you can call. So, it's definitely a point of emphasis, but I think the overall consistency will address that.
Jason Kersey.
Lincoln, how do you think it's gone with Marvin in the slot so far? His touches haven't maybe been as much as people would have expected. So, how do you think that's going?
Yeah. No, I mean, he's played well. He's a guy that we certainly want to continue to find ways to get the ball in his hands. And a lot of ways in our offense, the slot gives you some unique opportunities to do that. We've had a lot of things dialed up for him that just haven't, we just hadn't quite hit on. We had a couple play actions the other night that we protected well for several other of the same protections, and the couple times that we had Marvin dialed up, he was open and we just didn't quite have it, or we've missed a read or missed a throw or whatever. So Marvin's playing well. Listen, with receivers, it's always up and down. I mean, that's how it goes. You're going to have a game where the ball doesn't find you a whole lot, and then all of a sudden it does. So Marvin's a tremendous player, and, like a lot of our skill guys, we want to get the ball certainly in his hands. And then I also think a factor with all this, again, sound like a broken record, but when you have 8 or 9 possessions a game, ain't nobody going to touch the ball very much. I mean, it is what it is. There's limited opportunities, and, again, we have to be better at making the most of those.
Lockers below.
Lincoln, obviously, you had a lot of recruits in town last Saturday. I wonder if them or their family asked you about the booing, about the chanting. Did you have to address it throughout the weekend? And what would you say to any recruits who had issues with what happened?
No, I don't think it came out much. I mean, I think we have a passionate fan base, and I think it's always important to remember, for all of us, 90% of the people in there are diehard Sooners, and they're just like us. They're going to fight and kind of be with us no matter what's happening. I don't think any fan wants us to, if something's not going well, to just quit or stop. So we would hope the fans would take the same attitude.
John Hoover.
Lincoln, I want to ask about the wide receivers. On a couple of interceptions, there's been some glitches that caused turnovers in the first 4 games. You got so many new guys into the program. Guys who were in high school last year, guys who were at another school last year, guys who were playing a different position, such as Marvin last year. Is there maybe a need to simplify things for those guys in terms of communication so they don't run the wrong routes? Fewer options for them. I don't know if it's an RPO thing or just fewer options for them to make mistakes.
No. I mean, that's some of the things that we busted are extremely, extremely simple things, base concepts in our offense, and we're not going to run anything on a Saturday that we don't have full confidence that our guys know and have demonstrated that they can execute a lot of times. If there's any hesitation, then it doesn't go in the game plan.
Can you kind of elaborate on why those mistakes are happening?
Why does a guy miss a signal? Why does a guy miss a wristband? It's playing college football. It's an imperfect game. It's certainly the more you can do it, better. And we've had a lot of times, even through the years where we have a bust or miscommunication and the ball just, happens to not end up there and you skate by really just because you're lucky. We've had a few times where it just hasn't gone our way and we've kind of busted things at the wrong time. So we need to play cleaner ball, but fully confident that our guys are capable and know what they're doing, and we've got to carry it over to the game field more.
Cliff Brown.
Coach, how do you counsel Spencer through what happened on Saturday? But not just Spencer, Caleb Williams too, because he's in a very awkward situation after something like that. So how do you counsel both of those guys through that?
Yeah, the same way I would counsel somebody about going and playing on the road or playing at home when they cheer or playing at home when they boo or playing on the road when they boo. We don't pay attention to that stuff. It's kind of like how we were after the Tulane game, all right? If we're going to worry about all these things outside that have nothing to do with football, then we're not listening to our message here. Our message is our expectations, okay? We are the only expectations and opinion that counts. Absolutely, we appreciate fans being in the stand and cheering. I'm definitely not saying that. But as far as playing the game, we answer to one standard, and that's our own. So whatever said in the heat of a game, that's irrelevant. And then I would say this regarding the quarterback position. If I've got guys in there that have thin skin or can't handle that, then I got the wrong guys in the room. And I have the right guys in the room.
Very kind.
Yeah, Lincoln, it seems like you're not playing as up-tempo as you used to in the old days. Is that true? And why is that? Is that personnel? Is that the way the game's developed? Is that a philosophy to protect the defense? What is it? And when you have gone up-tempo, have you played pretty well these 4 games?
We've done okay with it. Some of it has been the ways that the games have unfolded a little bit, especially these last 2. We've gotten into these low possession games where substantial clock has been chewed off of, and so when you go play up tempo again, it's it's a double-edged sword. Defense has I think what it was 15 or 17 play drive, and you want to come cram out up tempo, and if you happen to go out quickly, all of a sudden they're right back out there. So, I think we're getting better at it. I think it's a weapon for us. It's not ever anything that we're, going to do every single play. And then I think, as far as kind of through the years and developing, I think it's based on, what you can do well offensively, and then just, trying to have a feel for winning games, and each one, you can't ever predict that, they're going to have a, 10 or 11 minute first drive. It doesn't happen very often in college football. We've had a couple of games like that, and you just got to be able to adjust. And I guess, again, constantly through the game, it's kind of a balance for me of, one, what's going to help our offense go well, but most importantly, looking at the whole team and what's going to give us the best chance to win this game. And so, it varies, but it's something that we want to be good at and we want to continue to use.
Gary Neiman?
Again, this isn't the first time you've said I've got to coach better. We're used to hearing that from you. This is, however, unique in the fact that the offense is having an extended lull, or not up to the standard that you're used to, or the fan base, whatever's used to. So I'm wondering if I could get you to specify in this case what you mean by I can coach better.
Yeah.
You're not going to tell me new plays you're going to roll
No.
out. That's not what I'm looking at. But what can specifically, how can you help the situation?
No, I think just learning our group, what we do well, what we don't. We're so many different pieces offensively right now. Probably as much turnover as I can remember. The only year I could really compare it to, honestly, is our first year when everything was kind of new to us. And you go against your defense every single day in practice. You get a feel for, maybe what you are, or how you can, be successful or have a chance to move the ball against your own defense. But then you get in the season and every challenge is new. And I think kind of learning about our guys and what they're like in game situations, and best personnel groupings to play in. And so I think constantly learning and educating myself and trying to put our guys in the best position. And again, I think it's, individually as a coach, it's continuing to reach your guys. If you got guys that are right there on the verge of busting through and playing well, and you're seeing a lot of really good signs, a lot of times as a coach, you can be one of the ones to help push them over the edge. And so I think there's some things overall with the group schematically I can do better. I think, our mentality as a group is growing, but it's going to need to continue to grow. Honestly, it feels a lot like every season at this point. People on the outside may disagree, but I've never felt like good or comfortable about where we're at 4 games into the season, ever, because you're never that good early. Maybe other people are bad, or who you play, or, it's, again, I showed guys clips the other day of offenses that were historically good around here. I showed them the Tennessee game. In 2015, I think our first 11 possessions, we either turned the ball over or punted. All right, if that would happen the other night, we would have not scored 1 point. All right, and what did that offense become? I showed people the Army game. Okay, we had 8 possessions in that game. We had 21 points. It's one of the greatest offenses that's ever played in college football. Okay, we've had a couple of unique games in a row. We're closer than what people think. And whether people on the outside believe it or not, that's up to them. But we watch the tape, and I know what we have in that room, and we all have to do better, myself included.
Austin Curtright?
And we can, saw a bunch of your players sort of voice their support for Spencer after the game. The booing obviously happened there, but what does it mean from a coach's perspective to see that support, and how does that sort of speak to this team?
I would expect it. Our guys, we got a tight-knit group. Our guys support each other. Our guys care about each other. So I appreciate seeing it. It's great that they support their teammates, but certainly not surprising.
James Hale?
In the last couple of years, Kansas State has defended you guys fairly well. You go up against them. What do they do defensively? What do you see in them this year, and what are you running into?
Yeah, no, they're a good group. We've been really kind of hot and cold against them the last few years. We've had some halves where we've played some really, really good football, and then we've had a lull against them really in the last 2 games. And, I give them credit. They've played well against us. We haven't quite been able to put together a 4-quarter game, which we're going to need to do when we go up there. So, they've changed a couple things around schematically, but, still a lot of the same principles that you always see. They're good tacklers. They're physical up front. They do a really nice job in short yardage. you know, and they have some definite creativity defensively. So, you know, it's kind of like no matter what scheme they're running, you kind of know what you're going to get out of Kansas State. This group's no different.
John Shin?
Lincoln, because of last year, it's been since 2019, since you've been in a road stadium at Fourth Road.
Yeah.
Do you kind of work on that a little bit more this week, or do you just kind of have to, everybody's got to experience it before they-
Yeah, no, good question. I mean, we've really tried to prepare for that really all the way through spring and camp, knowing that, you know, just about half our roster, you know, maybe half or close to half has never been in a full college road game. So, yeah, we've tried to prepare our guys for that. It'll be a big challenge. As you guys know me, I've always believed that playing on the road is so much about your mentality, your mindset going into it, and handling the ebbs and flows. And so something we've obviously taken a lot of pride in, we've enjoyed doing. We've been very successful at over the years and excited for this group to get their chance.
Were they able, did they learn much last year about playing it, other than just kind of flying an airplane, or, I mean?
Yeah, there's still parts of it. I mean, I think, you know, the silence when you do well, maybe. You know, there's the roars when the other team made plays are there, but, you know, there were still some good atmospheres last year. It was a good atmosphere up in Ames, even though it was limited people. There were still plenty of good atmospheres. And so was it completely the same? Were the roars a little bit different? Sure they were. But I think the guys that did do it last year, they definitely got some of the experience and feel of what it feels like. But, you know, it's fun playing on the road, man. I've missed going into full road stadiums, so I'm excited to be able to do it again.
Far left, Jenny Carlson.
Hey, Lincoln, with all the hand-wringing attention, whatever you want to say about the offense, people not really talk much about your defense. And I think a lot of years, people might have been doing cartwheels over, you know, 16 points against Nebraska, 13 points against West Virginia. Alex isn't exactly going to probably come to cartwheels for us, so I'm curious from your perspective, what have you liked about the defense, and what stood out to you just about where they are 4 games in?
Yeah, I would say the thing that I've been the most impressed with our defense has been our ability to, we've probably bended a little bit more than we want to, but we haven't broken. And, you know, we haven't had an extreme number of 3 and outs, not as many as we would expect or strive to have, but we have done a tremendous job when people get a drive going of being able to put a lid on it. And that is I think a lot about, you know, the mindset. Again, I think our front, having the ability to wear on people as games and drives go on, especially with how we're able to rotate guys and keep guys fresh. So, yeah, I mean, we're doing a lot of really, really good things. There's also, again, our frustrations are there's still so much better that we can play. I mean, there's no question about it. And it's so, you know, we've got a high standard there. We've got a good, experienced, talented group. I mean, we do expect to play well. And, you know, in large part, we have played well. But I still feel very similar with the whole football team that there's a lot more in the tank there.
You mentioned those drives that they're able to maybe turn on, to have that quick change of emotion or how you're playing or whatever. Is that a sign of evolution in your mind that they're able now maybe to do that with more consistency? If a team gets going on them?
Oh, yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, I think I think one of the big signs is, you know, you look at how many players in our defense right now have been around here for a while. And, I mean, there's a lot of snaps and a lot of experience and a lot of depth. And you bank on the fact that these guys have been through a lot of wars. They've been on mostly the good side of it, but they've been on the tough side of it too. And so we do have a lot of experience, a lot of depth, a lot of talent, and then a lot of times that's when you need it. You know, maybe when somebody gets off to a fast start or they score the first possession or they get going on a drive, you got to summon it. And we've been able to do that at a high level, and then we've been able to close games at a high level.
Helmer.
Yeah, when Larry got hurt the other day, Keyshawn came in and played some key snaps. How do you feel like he played?
He played decent. You know, he played decent. He's getting more confident each week. He's had a couple of mental mistakes, but I think we're gaining more and more confidence in him being able to adapt to our schemes. And he's a talented kid that's just going to get better and better. And every snap he gets in practice, every snap that he gets in the game makes him better. And, you know, Coach Grinch and I have talked about this a little bit with him, is I think there's a tendency because he was a transfer, came from another Power 5 school, you almost feel like he's at times a little bit older than what he is. I mean, he's still a puppy, and he's still new in our system, and he's still learning. So there's a lot of upside. He's had a good attitude throughout all of it. And obviously, you know, we're going to need him, and I think he has improved. He's doing some really good things, and I think he'll continue to get better and better.
Ryan Chapman.
Hey, Lincoln, Kennedy only had five carries. I know you've mentioned 2 or 3 times just the weird nature of how the possessions worked out, but can his patient running style be an asset while the offensive line tries to clean up those, smaller things?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Eric got going a little bit. We ended up riding Eric a little bit more. You know, when you have 2 backs, that's kind of the way it goes. And, we had games through the years, again, when we've had 2 backs where one guy gets hot here or one guy kind of gets hot there. You end up staying with one. And so his opportunities will come. He's a big part of our offense. He knows that. And no, absolutely. We want to get the ball in his hands. We want to get the ball in all these guys' hands, and he's certainly one of them and a guy that can absolutely study us.
Okay, Justin Martinez.
Lincoln, Gabe Burbidge is a bit of an enigma. We tried asking him after games before what goes through his mind when he's having a kick, and he says, I can't tell you. So from your perspective, just what do you see out of him on the sidelines leading up to a big moment like that? And in what ways is he different from previous kickers that you've had?
Yeah, I think he's just messing with you guys a little bit, to be honest. Yeah, he got you guys drinking the Kool-Aid. He's a fun guy. He doesn't take life or ball or anything too seriously, in a good way. In a good way. He has fun with it. He's got a good outlook on life. What's he like in those big moments? Like, honestly, I don't really talk to him a whole lot. I mean, during the game, we've been through enough of these. Probably talk to him more a little bit early in his career. And I know he's going to be ready to kick, and he knows that I have a lot of confidence in him just about anywhere on the field in any situation. So I know what we're going to get out of him, and so yeah, I don't have to go put my arm around him. He knows that when we need him, I know that he'll be ready, and he does too.
Coach, I know last week you mentioned at some point that Danny Stuxton might be getting closer to play. Where is he at right now? And also, I know Dean was saying that you had mentioned that Delarian's injury may not be too serious. What is his status for the game?
Yeah, Danny's really, really close. Probably will end up being a game-time decision. He's progressing very well, if not maybe even a little bit ahead of schedule, which he's a pretty tough cookie, so no surprise there. Delarian doing well. Yeah, doing well. Certainly not a serious injury. Hope to have him this week. If not, certainly expecting back soon.
Mason Young.
Lincoln, we saw Latrell force the fumble the other night. How important is his continued growth, especially with Woody out?
Very important. Very important. He's developed. He's developed well. He plays with confidence. He plays with a little bit of an edge and attitude out there, which you love to see from any player, especially a young player. And he's definitely one of our more talented guys in the secondary. So I'm excited the way he's playing. He's got to continue to work. He's got to continue to improve. But he's off to a good start, and I think he's gaining confidence, and we're gaining confidence in him as we go. And so very good to see.
Jason Kersey.
Yeah, Lincoln, Skylar Thompson's out. Has been out there some speculation he might be back. Will Howard got hurt last weekend. How do you prepare for Kansas State when you may have no idea who the quarterback's going to be?
Yeah, we've been in a few of those over the years. So they got a good room. They've got some quality guys. We've been able to see a little bit of tape, obviously, on all 3 of the guys. Their skill sets are all a little different, but they're not just all drastically different. And so they're all have some athleticism to them, all can throw the ball well. So not that they don't favor some things with some guys. Of course, they have their, every quarterback's going to have what he likes, or every OC is going to have what he likes for this quarterback to do. But we've had more situations in the past, in my opinion, where the schemes would dramatically shift. And I don't know that, I'm not saying they won't shift some, but I don't know that it's going to be dramatic regardless of who's in there. I feel like they're a group that's pretty bought in with what they're doing offensively.
I guess the only guy we haven't talked about is Cody Jackson. What's his status?
Yeah, medical issue right now. Don't expect to have him this week.
Barry.
Yeah, Lincoln, you've had 3 really close games, went down to the last possession. You don't want to play games like that because they can go either way, and eventually you'll fall off the cliff. But if you survive them, are they good for you? Do they sharpen your team? Do they help you for future tough games down the road? Or is there a residual good effect to winning close games?
Oh, yeah, there's always a good effect to winning, period. And I certainly understand your question, not challenging you there, but I'd survive them versus go take them and win them. And I felt like we've gone and take them and won them. So, I think it's great to be in all these different situations. You can't simulate those. And I think some of the guts and toughness that our football team has showed early in this season is I think a cause for a lot of our excitement as a staff and the team's excitement that if we can continue to improve and get to the level of play that we feel like we're capable of, you combine that with a toughness and a resiliency when you get in tough moments, typically that makes for a pretty good football team. So we'll see how it evolves, but like I said it the other night, I told the team, listen, yeah, it's great if you go blow somebody out. Shoot, I want to play great on all three sides of the ball more than anybody, but as a coach, you appreciate those moments. And people act like they worry or this or that. Those are fun. I want to play better and score more points and hold them to less points and separate from people. Those are fun too, but like as a competitor, if you don't love those moments, man, where they're driving, you got to stop them. You get the ball on your own 8-yard line, and you got to go the length of field. You got to hit a game-winning field goal. Like that is the heck with what's happened the rest of the game. That's what you do it for. I loved every minute of it, and they've been fun. And so I'm excited and been fun because our team's responded in such a positive way, and I think embrace those moments, and we need to continue to do that.
Time for a couple more. Cliff, did you have another?
Yeah. You touched on this a little bit earlier, but what is it in particular, maybe one or two things about Kansas State in particular that has made them kind of a thorn in your side the last couple of years?
They're always a tough out. I think you always know what you're going to get from them competitively. The games have kind of been different the last 2 years. We were obviously last year we were beating up on them a little bit, and they had a great comeback and stayed in it. And we played really, really poorly, probably as poorly as we've played in any game I can remember around here. There at the end, and gave them a chance, and they took it. And so I would say just their team. I think that you feel like they do a good job of taking advantage of mistakes and taking advantage of when you're not at your best. And so, for us, it goes back to us hitting our standard for 4 quarters, and we're going to have to play that way to go win in Manhattan. That's just we know that about this program. It's kind of been the same no matter who's coaching them, who the players are. They've done a tremendous job of that for years and years and years.
And Jenny?
Lincoln, sort of a variation on the last 2 questions. A year ago, you lose a couple close games at the end. This year, you win a couple. I know this is a different team. Every year is different. But are there noticeable things that you can point to and say, is it more experience at quarterback? Is it more experience on the D? I don't know. Do you chalk it up to any 1 or 2 things?
I just think there's, I think the reasons why, I think the mentality of this group is better early in the year. Leadership mentality, toughness of this group is in a better place. And then I think everybody thought I was crazy when I sat up here last year after we were 1-2 and said, I think we can still have a hell of a year. And not one of you in here believed me, not one. And a lot of other people too, and that's fine, I get it. But when you see what we see behind the scenes, that's where it comes from. And we get to see that, and you guys don't, and the fans a lot of times don't. But I think it's just you have to have a belief in what you're doing, and teams change so much throughout the year, and there's so many ebbs and flows in this game, and the margins are – I just don't think the average fan understands how thin the margins are between playing great and good and winning and losing. And so I've had a belief in the people we had in that locker room when we lost them, even though we obviously had some holes. I have a belief in the people right now that when we've won and we're 4-0 and all that, even though we obviously have areas we can get better, but I see potential, and I've just been a part of too many teams here that have watched those teams just do this as the years went on, and I see nothing in this locker room right now that makes me think we can't do the same thing.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.